Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, has one of the most mysterious and poetic origin stories in ancient Greek mythology. What made the great Aphrodite famous? Who did she favor, being able to choose anyone? What power and authority lay hidden behind her refined nature? And why was Aphrodite exiled? Today, we'll lift the veil on these mysteries. According to Homer's Iliad, Aphrodite is the daughter of Zeus, the supreme god of Olympus, and Dione, one of the Oceanids, daughters of Oceanus. It's believed that Aphrodite was born on Olympus and, from an early age, was surrounded by gods and goddesses. She grew up under the watchful eyes of Hera and other divine women, developing her unmatched beauty and charm. The second, more famous and poetic version, proposed by Hesiod in his Theogony, tells of a more dramatic and mystical origin of Aphrodite. In this version, she is not born as the result of a union between two gods, but as the outcome of a cosmic event tied to the conflict between Uranus and Cronus. According to Hesiod, Uranus, the personification of the sky, was a cruel ruler who kept his children, the Titans, imprisoned in the depths of Gaia, their mother, to prevent them from overthrowing him. Gaia, wishing to free her children, convinced the youngest, Cronus, to overthrow Uranus. Armed with a sickle, Cronus castrated his father and threw his genitals into the sea. The blood and seed of Uranus mixed with the sea foam, and from this mixture, in an act of divine creation, Aphrodite was born. This birth took place in the ocean waves off the coast of Cyprus. As Aphrodite rose from the sea foam, the nature around her blossomed with incredible beauty. Birds began to sing, flowers bloomed, and everything around was filled with the fragrances and sounds of life. Aphrodite stepped onto the shores of Cyprus, and her appearance brought peace and harmony, reflecting her role as the goddess of love and beauty. Aphrodite was incomparably beautiful, her beauty and charm irresistible. She embodied the ideal of feminine beauty. Her golden hair, like shimmering rays of sunlight, cascaded down her shoulders in waves. The locks emitted a delicate fragrance that intoxicated anyone who came near. Aphrodite's deep and expressive eyes shone like stars in the night sky. The goddess's gaze had a magical power. It could captivate hearts and minds, making anyone fall hopelessly in love with her. Her skin was flawless and smooth, like marble. Her figure was graceful and harmonious. The goddess's body combined strength and softness, and her movements were fluid and graceful, like those of a ballerina. Each gesture and step exuded elegance. Aphrodite enchanted everyone who saw her. Her dazzling beauty captivated many of the gods of Olympus. Many disputes and conflicts arose around her, as every god sought to win her heart. Zeus understood that such a situation could lead to serious disagreements and discord among the gods, so he decided to marry Aphrodite to Hephaestus. Hephaestus, the god of fire and blacksmithing, was the son of Zeus and Hera. He was born lame, and because of this, his mother Hera threw him off Olympus, ashamed of his deformity. Hephaestus fell into the sea, where he was raised by sea nymphs. He grew up to become an incredibly talented craftsman, creating magnificent armor and weapons for the gods and heroes. Hephaestus was kind and devoted, but his rough manners and physical imperfections made him unattractive in Aphrodite's eyes. However, their marriage was devoid of harmony and happiness. Aphrodite's heart remained cold toward Hephaestus, and she felt neither love nor passion for him. Hephaestus understood this, though he loved his wife. Despite her official marriage to Hephaestus, Aphrodite soon began an affair with Ares, the god of war. Ares was the complete opposite of Hephaestus. He was strong, handsome, and passionate, and his relationship with Aphrodite was filled with fire. Their love meetings often took place in secret, but one day they were caught. Helios, the sun god, observed everything happening on Earth and Olympus. One day, While flying over the site of one of Aphrodite and Ares' secret meetings, he saw them together. Helios was loyal to Zeus and decided he had to inform Hephaestus of what he had seen. He told him about Aphrodite's infidelity. Angry and humiliated, Hephaestus decided to take revenge. Being a talented blacksmith, he devised a clever plan. He created a fine net made of unbreakable chains, so thin it couldn't be seen. He set this net on Aphrodite's bed. When Aphrodite and Ares met again, they were caught in the trap. As soon as they lay on the bed, the net instantly ensnared them in unbreakable chains. Triumphant and determined to expose his wife's infidelity, Hephaestus invited the other gods to Olympus to witness his revenge. The gods of Olympus gathered to see the captured lovers. The sight of Aphrodite and Ares chained together elicited various reactions among the gods. Some laughed, others felt sympathy, but all were impressed by Hephaestus's craftsmanship and determination to get even. Though the ridicule continued, deep down, many of the gods secretly wished to be in Ares' place. Hephaestus demanded that both be exiled from Olympus, and Zeus deemed it fair. Ares was sent to Thrace, while Aphrodite went to Cyprus. In Cyprus, Aphrodite bathed in the sea, restoring her virginity, and soon continued her romances with other deities and mortals. The affair between Aphrodite and Ares caused discord in the Olympian community, but also demonstrated that even gods, possessing immense power and authority, cannot control a force as wild as love. Aphrodite's character was remarkably complex. Her nature combined traits that made her one of the most intriguing and multifaceted figures in Greek mythology. Aphrodite's love was as powerful as it was destructive. She had the ability to enchant and make both gods and mortals fall in love with her. Just as she was tender and loving, she could also be cunning and domineering. Whenever someone tried to compete with her beauty or attract the attention of those she considered her own, Aphrodite would become a fierce destroyer. Psyche, a mortal girl, was so beautiful that her beauty even eclipsed Aphrodite's. People began to worship Psyche, forgetting about the goddess of love and her cult. This insult could not go unpunished by Aphrodite. Enraged, she decided to punish Psyche and sent her son, Eros, to make Psyche fall in love with the most hideous creature. However, when Eros saw Psyche, he fell in love with her at first sight. Seeing her purity and beauty, he couldn't carry out his mother's command. Instead of harming the girl, Eros took Psyche to his magical palace, where he could secretly enjoy her company. Psyche, now in the wondrous palace, was surrounded by luxury and care, but her beloved visited her only at night. He strictly forbade her from looking at his face. She lived in constant tension, relying only on their nightly meetings and the sound of his voice. One day, despite her love and giving in to curiosity and the persuasion of her sisters, Psyche decided to discover the identity of her lover. Her sisters, jealous of her happiness, hinted that she might be married to a monster, fueling her fears. Psyche took a lamp, and at night, while Eros slept, she illuminated his face. Confronted with a sight that astounded her, she saw Eros' true beauty, but unfortunately, a drop of oil fell from the lamp and burned him. Eros, feeling betrayed and realizing that Psyche had broken his trust, woke up and left her. Alone and devastated, Psyche began searching for her beloved. Her journey was difficult, and she had to face many trials imposed by Aphrodite in her quest for revenge. The first trial was sorting seeds. Psyche had to separate a massive pile of mixed seeds in a very short time. However, with the help of tiny ants who sympathized with her, she successfully completed the task. Next, Aphrodite demanded that Psyche obtain golden fleece from a flock of rams fighting in a field. It seemed impossible for her to deal with the aggressive animals. But once again, help came, this time from a green reed. It advised her to wait until sunset when the rams would sleep, allowing Psyche to gather their fleece from the bushes. She did as suggested. The final trial was the most challenging. Psyche had to descend into the underworld and retrieve some of Persephone's beauty. Psyche accomplished this by filling a crystal vial with water from the stream that fed the river Styx. But how did a mere mortal get close to this impenetrable river? It said an eagle helped her, and who knows, perhaps it was sent by Zeus himself. Seeing Psyche's persistence and devotion, Zeus was moved by her story. He decided to intervene to ease her suffering. He granted Psyche immortality so that she could be reunited with Eros forever. Eros, feeling renewed love and trust from his beloved, accepted her back. Psyche was not the only one to experience Aphrodite's wrath. The daughter of the king of Cyprus, Myrrha, considered herself so beautiful that she felt it unnecessary to pay homage to the goddess of love. Aphrodite decided to punish her and instilled in Myrrha a passion for her own father, Cinyras. This led to Myrrha sneaking into his bed one night. For 12 days and 12 nights, they gave themselves to their love. Under the influence of Aphrodite's spell, Cinyras did not recognize his daughter, but on the morning of the 13th day, he realized who had shared his bed. He drew his sword, intending to kill Myrrha and then take his own life. Terrified by this sudden change, Myrrha fled, but Cinyras, sword in hand, pursued her. Realizing she couldn't escape, Myrrha fell to her knees, begging the gods for salvation. They took pity on her and turned Myrrha into a tree. But even after that, she didn't stop crying. After 9 months, the tree split open, and out came a beautiful child, Adonis. Ironically, Aphrodite fell in love with the very product of her own revenge. Her relationship with the beautiful young Adonis became one of the most poignant and tragic romances in ancient Greece. Their love, full of passion and tenderness, was doomed to a tragic end, becoming a symbol of the fleeting nature of beauty and the transience of happiness. Adonis was so handsome that his beauty captivated not only mortals but also the gods. He was born from the myrtle tree that the nymph Myrrha was transformed into after being cursed by the gods. When Aphrodite first saw Adonis, she was struck by his appearance and inner purity. The young man possessed a rare combination of physical attractiveness and noble character. Captivated by Adonis's beauty, Aphrodite began spending more and more time with him. She descended from Olympus to be near him, to enjoy his company, and to share the joys of life with him. Their love was pure and sincere. Aphrodite taught Adonis the art of love and pleasure, introducing him to a world of emotions and feelings. However, Adonis was a passionate hunter. He loved spending time in the forests, pursuing wild beasts. Aphrodite, aware of the dangers associated with hunting, tried to convince him to be cautious. She warned him of the risks and begged him not to put himself in harm's way. But young and fiery, Adonis couldn't give up his passion. One day, while hunting a wild boar, tragedy struck. Adonis was pursuing the massive beast, but as it defended itself, it mortally wounded him with its tusks. Aphrodite heard his cries for help and rushed to him immediately. But by the time she arrived, Adonis was already dying. In tears and despair, Aphrodite cradled Adonis's body. Her tears, mixed with his blood, fell to the ground, and from this mixture, a flower was born, an anemone. This flower became a symbol of brief beauty and the tragedy of life, a reminder of the fleeting nature of happiness and the inevitability of loss. After Adonis's death, Aphrodite mourned him, and her grief was so profound that the gods decided to intervene. Persephone, the queen of the underworld, was also enchanted by Adonis and wished to keep him with her. It was decided that Adonis would spend part of the year with Aphrodite and part with Persephone. In this way, his life became a symbol of nature's cycle of resurrection and rebirth. Aphrodite's love for Adonis and their tragic end became an eternal reminder that even the most beautiful moments in life can be fleeting and that true love can overcome even death. And to add to this story, it is said that the wild boar that attacked Adonis was none other than Ares in disguise. One can only speculate whether this was a mere coincidence or revenge for his exile from Olympus. Today, it's rare to find someone who hasn't heard of the Apple of Discord. However, not everyone knows how the beautiful Aphrodite became involved in its creation. The wedding of Peleus, a mortal hero, and Thetis, a sea nymph, was a grand event that all the gods of Olympus were invited to, except for one, Eris, the goddess of discord. Offended by her exclusion, Eris decided to take revenge and create chaos at the celebration. Eris tossed a golden apple inscribed with the words "to the fairest" onto the banquet table, knowing it would spark a dispute among the goddesses. The apple immediately caught the attention of Aphrodite, Hera, and Athena, each of whom believed she deserved the title. The argument that ensued between the goddesses threatened to create serious conflict among the gods. Zeus, keen to avoid discord among the goddesses and realizing that any decision he made would displease someone, decided to delegate the choice to a mortal. He tasked Paris, the prince of Troy, with resolving the dispute. Paris, the son of King Priam, was known for his fairness and integrity, making him the ideal choice. Paris met the three goddesses on Mount Ida. Each of them tried to sway his decision by offering lavish rewards. Hera, the goddess of marriage and family, promised Paris dominion over all of Asia and great wealth. Athena, the goddess of wisdom and military strategy, offered him the glory of being an unbeatable warrior. Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, promised him the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen of Sparta. Blinded by Aphrodite's promise, Paris chose her. He handed the golden apple to the goddess of love and beauty, provoking the displeasure and anger of Hera and Athena. This choice was fateful, as its consequences proved catastrophic for the entire Greek world. Helen, the wife of Menelaus, king of Sparta, was renowned for her extraordinary beauty. Fulfilling her promise, Aphrodite helped Paris meet Helen. Soon after, Paris abducted Helen and took her to Troy. Along with Helen, the Trojan prince also stole Menelaus's treasury, sparking a great conflict. Menelaus, furious upon learning of his wife's abduction, sought help from his brother Agamemnon, who rallied all the Greek kings and heroes under his command. Thus began the Trojan War, one of the most famous and bloody conflicts in ancient Greek history. During the war, Aphrodite protected Paris and aided the Trojans with her divine power. Her interventions often led to unexpected twists in battles and intrigues. After 10 years, Troy fell. Greek forces stormed the city with the help of Odysseus, who devised the clever plan of the famous Trojan horse. According to Odysseus's plan, the finest warriors would hide inside the giant horse, while the rest would sail away and hide behind an island. Odysseus was confident that the Trojans would believe they had won and would bring the giant horse into their city, thereby letting the skilled warriors inside. The Trojans indeed believed the Greeks had retreated and took the giant horse as a gift. Aeneas, the son of Aphrodite and the mortal Anchises, was among those who fought desperately to save their homeland. Despite his courage and strength, the odds were against him. Amidst the chaos and destruction, Aphrodite watched over her son and his family, understanding that his fate was not to end in the ruined city. As Troy burned and hope seemed lost, Aphrodite appeared to Aeneas. She guided him to safety, helping him escape death. Aphrodite not only protected her son, but also inspired him to fulfill a great mission. On the night of Troy's fall, Aphrodite helped Aeneas flee the city with his father Anchises, his young son Ascanius, and loyal warriors. The city was destroyed, and many of its inhabitants were killed or taken captive. Menelaus searched the streets for his stolen wife, his first desire being to kill Helen with his sword. However, Helen cleverly approached Menelaus naked. Unable to kill the beautiful woman, the Spartan king forgave her and took her back to Greece. After fleeing Troy, Aeneas and his companions embarked on long and difficult wanderings in search of a new home. Aphrodite continued to support her son, guiding and protecting him, offering advice and assistance during the toughest moments. One of the key episodes during Aeneas's journey was his encounter with Dido, the queen of Carthage. Concerned for her son's well-being, Aphrodite decided to help him find temporary refuge. She inspired Dido with love for Aeneas, so the queen would welcome him and his people into her city. This love was so strong that Dido wanted Aeneas to stay with her forever. However, Aeneas's destiny lay elsewhere. The time spent in Carthage was peaceful and prosperous, but Aeneas could not forget his mission. Aphrodite reminded him of his purpose, and despite Dido's heartbreak, he left Carthage. Dido, left with a broken heart, cursed Aeneas and took her own life. Yet Aphrodite knew her son had to move on. Aeneas continued his journey until he finally arrived in Italy. Here, Aphrodite again assisted him, foreseeing that his descendants would become the founders of a great city. She inspired him to perform new feats and helped him forge alliances with the local tribes. Aeneas became the founder of a new lineage, which eventually led to the creation of Rome. His descendants, including Romulus and Remus, established the city that would become the center of a great empire. Could it be said that Aphrodite, who foresaw the great outcome and guided her son, was an indirect founder of Rome? Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, held a significant place in the lives of both mortals and gods. Her influence extended far beyond Olympus, encompassing aspects of love, beauty, fertility, and the arts. In the ancient Greek world, her worship was widespread. The island of Cyprus was especially important in Aphrodite's cult. It was believed that she emerged from the sea foam on this island, making Cyprus her sacred abode. The locals believed that her presence blessed the land and sea around it. The island was adorned with temples and shrines, one of the most famous being the temple at Paphos. This temple attracted pilgrims from all over Greece, who came to pray for love, beauty, and fertility. Devotees offered gifts and performed rituals in honor of the goddess, which included offerings of flowers, incense, and precious stones symbolizing the beauty and wealth that Aphrodite brought into the world. Doves and roses were significant symbols in Aphrodite's cult. According to myths, doves were her companions and symbolized peace and love. Roses were also associated with the goddess, representing both her personal beauty and her influence over the romantic and sensual aspects of human life. Mythical beings such as the Eros and other erotic creatures were also linked to Aphrodite. These beings symbolized her influence over love affairs and passion, often depicting her as a deity governing sensuality and romance. Aphrodite was celebrated in literature, art, and religious practice, with her images and symbols becoming part of daily life. She was a popular subject in sculpture, and numerous works of art were dedicated to her representation. One of the most famous sculptures is the Venus de Milo, also known as the Aphrodite of Milo. This statue, found on the island of Melos, depicts the goddess at the height of her beauty and grace, even though her arms are missing. Sculptors aimed to capture not only her physical beauty but also her divine aura, making her figure the epitome of ideal feminine beauty. Aphrodite was also frequently depicted in paintings and mosaics that adorned ancient Greek and Roman villas. The image of Aphrodite rising from the sea waves became one of the most popular in ancient art. She was often shown standing on a shell, emerging from the water, surrounded by sea nymphs and cupids. This image inspired artists and sculptors to create immortal works of art, such as Botticelli's famous Birth of Venus. Ancient poets and writers also dedicated their works to Aphrodite. In the poetry of Homer and Hesiod, the goddess frequently appeared as the subject of love stories and mythological epics. She was an inspiration for poets who wrote about love and its various aspects. Poems dedicated to Aphrodite often explored themes of love, passion, and beauty, reflecting her central role in human life and the divine realm. Aphrodite was not only the embodiment of love and beauty, but also an important figure in the religious and cultural life of the ancient Greeks.